He's so veiny. He's so veiny.
Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Jeremy Vaney here from He's So Veiny, and I'm tired. So tired I don't even want to go to the other place where the good camera is. You see this? See these lines here? That's not resting bitch face. That's no rest bitch face. So that's how I look. But in that spirit, I'm going to be doing a video on Alcoholic Anonymous celebrity. I don't know what you would call him. Paul Hedderman, who generally looks worse than this. So I'm in good company. By the way, if you see the camera jiggling a lot, that's because the camera's in my lap. Just suck it up. Don't tell me about blurriness and stuff. I'm in no mood. I'm tired. You want to know why I'm tired? You don't. But I'm going to tell you anyway. We have a cat who is old, who keeps us up all freaking night, my wife and I. Rah, 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 and then I got to come out and feed her. Rah, rah, rah. She sounds like Edward G. Robinson. Meow, meow. And if you don't feed her, she throws up. So what are you going to do? Okay. So I'm dying, but if you want to keep me afloat, I don't know that anything will do the trick, but ko-fi.com/JV, link in the description. It's on your screen right now. You may donate and keep me going, although you might not want to after this. So Paul Hedderman is a man who speaks about non-duality, and he, I guess, also speaks about alcoholism. He's a recovering alcoholic, and so somehow in his shtick, these two things meet. I don't know much about him. I have watched a couple of videos. He's the person that I had said in another previous Hisovania video that I was planning on doing something with his videos, but then like a reaction to what I had seen, but I didn't. And the reason was that I don't want to say speaking to Tom Cheatham's class online. And there was someone in there who's a huge Hedderman fan. She considers herself a follower of his, I guess. And she was sort of likening whatever it was that I was babbling about to whatever it is that he babbles about. And so I went and I watched some videos and I was like, no, these ain't the same. But I didn't want to then subsequently do a He's So Veiny on it because too soon. It would look like I'm picking on her if she ever saw it. So, but now enough time has passed and enough people have said, hey, what about Paul Hedderman? React to him. That I will. However, I don't remember what the hell it is I saw, so I'm just going to pick a new video. There was one that was released like 8 minutes ago. I'm not going to do that one because it looks like it has more to do with Alcoholics Anonymous. So this is one that is on non-duality from, well, it says it right here on the screen, from July 21st of this year. Fresh off the cutting room floor. Let's get into it. Let's see what Paul Hedderman has to say about non-duality, and if I still disagree with anything or agree with anything, or what the hell was I even thinking back when I first saw his videos.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be here. I hope you are too. And again, this is Saturday Zen BitchSlap. Exalting in the futility of trying to arrive at where you already are. Yeah. Now, this is how I humbly understand non-duality. Yeah. The basis of it is you are what you're looking for.
So maybe this is my problem numero uno, which will come to define and trump every other problem that I'm going to have with him, which is, given this setup, it's clear that he has no firsthand experience as non-dual being. So why do I care what he has to say about it? I mean, really, it's that simple to me. He's read some things. He's visited some gurus. He's Zen. I mean, that's all well and good for yourself. But what right does that give you to say anything authoritatively or truthfully about that which you have not experienced, I guess is my question. But people seem to love them, so let's go on.
Yeah. Or being ourselves reality. Now, coming from there, looking for it, the only way it would be truly successful would be to fail, to the point where you get so disappointed in looking for it, you sort of stop, and there it is. Yeah. But while you're looking for it, it does, obviously, for that which is looking for it to have value, it can't see it. Yeah.
I think it's a misnomer that it's similar to what he's saying is similar to something that I've said, which is right. You have to stop for it to be the case, but it's not just that you stop. Like when you hear someone say "stop looking for it" and there it'll be, it sounds like when you are anxiously looking for your car keys and you can't figure out where they are, and then you're like, I don't know, and you give up, and then oh, there they are, I remember now. Or you got some memory that you can't quite access in your head, and then you take a shower and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. And then it just comes to you because you've like cleared your mind and you've stopped looking for the memory. You've stopped, hassling yourself and causing yourself anxiety or whatever. This is not like that. This is not like you stop looking for non-duality and then poof, non-duality becomes you. It's because you're stopping, you as the person who is stopping the looking, is the person that's in the way. So the brain, the body projecting the self, the you who is looking, is what has to stop projecting you. Because otherwise you're just doing a reverse action. Before I was looking for it. Now I'm not. I'm actively not looking for it. Well, it's still you in charge, and you are the thing that's got to go. And you can't let yourself go. The body has to see the futility of you as a seeker, and in that seeing, you, if it's 100% deep down through and through seeing it legit, you are no more.
Because it's seeing itself in the looking for it. Yeah. The looking for it is sort of like Narcissus with a mobile pond. Yeah. It just watches you all day, you as the looker for it. Yeah. And sometimes that which you're looking for is of no time, but being a looker for it could go for 50 years. Isn't that insane? That which you're looking for is there's no time, but being a looker for it could go on for 50 or 60 years, which is getting reinforced.
All of that is true.
Yeah. The looker is getting reinforced by the looking. It's not getting negated by the looking until hopefully you hear non-duality, and then the looking is the negation of itself. Yeah. It just does all the work.
Until you hear non-duality, and then the looking is the negation of itself. I don't know what that is saying.
Because when you stop looking, the emperor is seen with having no clothes, which is the seeker or the looker. Yeah. While looking, it's just going through the wardrobe. Yeah. Just putting on what ensembles, taking things off. And the emperor always seems to be fully clothed. It's always you. But when you stop looking, yeah, there's a recognition. You see that which you're not trying to adorn itself. Yeah. You see how even in the hoping and the wishing for its own absence, it wants to get a present reflection from that. Yeah. It wants to be there to get it.
I'm not so sure. I think he's still speaking in the context that I just talked about a minute ago. Like, I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of like true-ish, technically true, but that's not good enough, because that's where we always slip up. Because the true-ish and the sort of technically true, if they're not like actual truth, become the thing that we go, yeah, and we agree with, and then we go on with life. So in the way that he's saying this and what he's saying, I don't think you can hear this and have an epiphany that stops you, or the brain gets it and stops you. I don't think that this is right, if that makes sense.
Yeah. This is why people, with great sincerity, I haven't heard them for a while, but they would call me and report that they disappeared. Yeah. But there they were reporting they disappeared. Yeah. I mean, who the hell calls in that they're lost? The one that's seemingly lost. Yeah. Hey, I'm lost. Yeah. Oh, there you are. You're found. What? So we get lost again. Yeah. Because that's the whole thing. We go over these things I read that just triggered an avalanche of something, and that we went over it last week. The lady with the necklace, and she believes she's lost the necklace, and it's bummed her out. Yeah, and she gave great credit for the necklace for her life going well and feeling better and feeling at peace and joy and stuff like that. And then she loses the necklace, or as she at least believes she's lost the necklace. Yeah. Now, the quality of the necklace, it can never be found or lost. Yeah, they're using the necklace obviously as an example of your own nature. Yeah. So the head will say it's lost it by doing bad things, or birth, or I entered name and form and I lost the presence, and now I have to use this presence to try to return to the present, but I want to be present to be there when I arrive. Yeah, this is the stubbornness of the self thing. It's amazing.
I mean, sort of. It's a bit convoluted, but I mean, now I don't. Again, he's saying things I've read. Well, great. The part that is true is, the way I would say it is, you want to take yourself with you when you go. The self has to die or dissolve, but we don't want that, and so we want to do like an illusory version of that, where we transcend ourselves somehow. And I think that's ultimately what he's getting at. But all this stuff about pre-birth and whatever, no place in this dojo, Paul Hedderman.
He'll write a whole book about it's not about it, and it puts itself in it all the fucking page. It's always implying or referring back to you know who, you know who, you know who. It's not about me, you know who, you know. It just goes on and on. It's not an unusual thing. This is a pattern. Yeah. So that lady, bummed out, starts looking for it, and she starts talking to her friends and tries to sort of enlist them to help her look for it, because you believe that if a lot of people are looking for it, it may be easier to find. But in this case, it's not. The more people looking for it, the more it seems to be hidden. Yeah. Yeah. So finally, somebody comes in and sees the whole activity, and maybe they've been through it themselves, and they go, hey, lady, because the one thing she hasn't done in all the searching is put her hand on her neck to see if the necklace is gone. She's so sure that she's lost the necklace. Yeah.
Yeah, we get it. Click your heels, Dorothy. You're already home. We get it. I mean, this is not some great literary revelation we're coming to here. We've heard this a million times.
Beyond any evidence to the contrary, she hasn't even touched the neck to see. She just believes she's lost the necklace. Everyone else has believed they've lost their necklace. So basically, the necklace is gleaming in everyone's presence, but completely missed. Yeah. So the funny bit of the story, or the parable, is when she finds the necklace, it seems the finding of the necklace produces effects that she's in joy now, based on finding the necklace. But she wasn't in joy, and the necklace was still there before. So the finding the necklace wasn't the source of the joy, and the losing the necklace wasn't the source of the being bummed out. She was, in a way. Yeah. The necklace had nothing to do with it. The necklace was being, oh, it's because of the necklace, but it wasn't, because the necklace never went anywhere. So her story that she lost it and feeling super bummed out was just as bogus as her story of finding it and being incredible joy. Yeah, both of them are bogus because the necklace was never lost nor found.
I don't know. Is this in disagreement with what he's saying, or just reiterating it in life experience? So, what I would relate that to is what I mistook for quote unquote enlightenment or wholeness, which was when I'd reverse engineered, positively negated enough of my psychological baggage to legit deep down with all my being come to the realization, the movement really from brainiac rational self into heart self, into understanding us all as interconnecting beings, the Gaia web of life, and also that our sorrows and our problems are not our own, that we are all in this together and we all feel like we're autonomous beings, each one of us with our own life story. You've got to walk a mile in my shoes and all of that, and nobody understands me and that sort of thing. That each one of us has that, and that we keep handing that off generation to generation through parenting, because that's just what we do. And once I got that realization, it was like I was different. And that difference was I had a certain clarity and a certain now change in being, of being more interconnecting, and so that caused a great joy that lasted until, for months and months, until I decided to help a friend out with a political thing that brought me back down to earth, unfortunately. But until then, it was all airy fairy and woo. And the airy fairiness is, again, I've said this before, I don't think this is anything that someone from a nature culture who hasn't built up this false autonomous self and already lives, in the sense of all things being beings, and that those beings being family, as well as their immediate human family and all that. But for us Westerners, it's a mighty revelation to take that out of the theoretical and out of choice and out of the decision being what's higher and what's lower, because I want to be the higher being. When all of that facade is gone, there is that sense of great joy, and that is a product of being healthy, for the first time, of your psychology, your actual sense of place in the world being properly contextualized, naturally, healthily contextualized. So the joy comes from that. That's what's real about it.
That's the point. And he says, this idea of realizing something that's always realized. Yeah, there's no realizing as that which is always realized. The unrealizing all the shit about us. Yes. Yeah. About, oh, I'm this and I'm that. No, you realize you're not that. It's not like you realize what you are. How can you? Because you are it already. You realize what you're not. And what's realizing what it's not is what you are. This is the point. It's not what you're not is realizing what it's not. That doesn't go anywhere. It's what you are realizes what it's not. And so the charade ends. And then the charade never actually happened. It only appeared to happen in the magic trick of space and time.
Sort of, except that the magic trick of space and time is, for all intents and purposes, just as quote unquote real as anything else. So, this idea that only non-duality is real and that duality is an illusion, that is true in terms of human psychology, and that is the thing that we have to get over to, for timelessness to be the case, psychological time cannot exist. The self is psychological time, is thought. So the thought construct that is the self has to dissolve, and then timelessness is the case, okay? So to the extent that he is saying that, that is true. But to the larger extent in which nothingness is consciousness per se, and consciousness is being. What is consciousness being? Consciousness is being all things. Why? Because consciousness, in terms of nothingness, cannot be more of itself. There is no nothing plus nothing. 0 plus 0 is 0. So to be something, you have to be one, at least, right? And that one contains the all. That one, if you want to call it energy, if you want to just put a word to it, is the manifestation of all things. So all of things are all aspects that are sort of quote unquote solidified, or solidifications of one non-dual being. And so therefore, yes, are they illusions? Yes and no. It's both. They're necessary illusions. I think that's the words that's missing. There's no choice. There is no nothingness that has a choice but to, in being, be all things. There is no choice. Yeah, maybe I'm too tired to go on with this. I'll just do a little bit more. But does that make sense? So it's all a necessary illusion. It's going to be the case. Isness is the case. And it does no good, in other words, practically speaking, to say like, well, everything's just an illusion. Well, everything just is an illusion. But what that means in terms of what we can do in this illusion, right, is we can see it as it is, which is to adopt, essentially to become timeless mind, not to adopt, but to become timeless mind, or we can remain ourselves. We can remain, if crudely put, if we are objects that are illusions in the universe, essentially we're all sort of, everything is various degrees of unconsciousness to this oneness that we are, to the self-identity as that oneness. Like obviously Paul Hedderman here is hip to the game of oneness, but is he self-identifying is the self-identity, the non-duality self-identity, him? Or is it just something that he is able to articulate because he's read a lot of stuff and gone to some gurus and shit? So, in a sense, you could say that all beings are different shades of different degrees of unconsciousness to maybe to their to all of our true face beyond the illusion. But again, the illusion is also there. Even the persona after a non-dual experience, after wholeness, Jeremy here may have the big quote unquote enlightenment experience. And when Jeremy comes back and speaks truth, even if it is truth speaking through Jeremy, even right now, as I speaking in the third person, if I am in fact emoting truth like a true God man, it's still coming through this. Like whatever this is left here, is who's saying it. So yes, the ego, the self, is an illusion, but it's not one that forever goes away so long as I'm alive in time. Because there needs to be, right, there needs to be obviously the translator, the voice, the person, the persona, through which truth comes here from timelessness into time, through this body, through this vessel. And so unfortunately, if that happens, it's It's going to be all tainted with this.
So in time, it looked like you were totally fucked, but you never have been. Everything that you thought cut to the core never even touched what you are. Yeah. And you'll have a hit usually when this occurs. It says it's always been this way. The head's constantly trying to convince you things that come and go are always going to be this way. Like when you feel a little bit of depression, you think you're entering a lifelong thing of depression. Yes, it gives a lot of time to shit that's still coming and going. So that's what causes so much suffering. It's not that you're feeling something. The head says you're going to be feeling it forever. And therefore, that's like fucking no fucking way. Well, there is no way built in. You're not going to feel anything forever. You can be something forever, but you can't feel something forever. Yeah? So this head is just like takes a little bit of something and just fucking like Play-Doh just stretches it and kneads it and just drags it over time and space. Yeah. And therefore, in the infinite of our condition is totally masked by trying to gain security and manage an unbearable condition because it changes all the fucking time. How many times were you, let's say, 9 a.m. in the last Sunday of your retreat, and everything just lined up? You felt bliss, this and that. You felt good. You did good, Paul. Everyone acknowledged how clear you were, and everything's lined up. And then 9:01 comes, and something bumps one of the blocks, and it fucking goes too far, and the thing crumbles. And then 9:02, you're in fucking depression. When 9:0, you were blissed out. Yeah. Something like that should be suspicious. If you're feeling so good and suddenly it's Armageddon, something, you've got no solid rudder or sail that can actually interpret the wind and where it's coming from. The wind of presence isn't coming from anywhere.
All right, I cheated. I skipped ahead a little bit, just to see if there's anything else I want to react to. And I found this man who's asking a question. I listened to the question. I have not heard the answer, but I think I can assume I'm not going to like the answer, unless the answer is no. What? Didn't you just hear what I just talked about for the last like half hour? Anything short of that, now you can say it and not be a dick like I would be, but anything short of that is not going to be a good answer. So let's see what happens. This is the
I
question.
wanted to be with you for a year, Paul, before I ever asked the questions, because figured out the reason God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth was so I can listen twice as much as I talk. And I did have a question, so I put it in the chat, hoping somebody would read it. But the question says, can you talk a little bit about spiritual vision, or what some allude to as Christ's vision, and in reference to what you were talking about? Because there's supposedly things that the physical eye cannot see, but that the spiritual eye can see.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what the Course of Miracles in that statement was implying. There's our vision.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me just pause here. Maybe this is why I was like, ugh, when I first heard him. Because he's a Course in Miracles guy. That ain't my shtick. Anyway.
Which it would be in your terminology, spiritual vision is independent from the eyes that see the world. So yes. So a lot of information comes to us by what we see, and that obviously gets translated by the brain that interprets everything to what is seen as the seer, which is the body. Yeah. I have a problem with that immediately. That the information never gets to me, it goes through interprets it right to the body. So there is this, let's say, canal or waterway that information of living can go to a different source or a different destination, and not to be the brain interpreting to the body. So in the Course of Miracles, this is my feeling about it. They have a thing about the Holy Spirit. Yeah. So there's Jesus, the Christ, the mind of Christ, let's say, would be that vision. Then there's the absoluteness, Brahma, God. And then the Holy Spirit is manifesting in the dreaming, and it's taking the same information the brain takes in, but collates it differently. So before it gets disseminated, the interpretation from the brain goes through the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit gives it a different meaning than the brain will, because the brain will always give the meaning to reinforce the idea of being a body. Yes? The Holy Spirit doesn't have that agenda. So this is what I feel is what you're talking about, not just the spiritual vision, that's always available, but what is going to collate it and disseminate it here. Yeah. Because a lot of shit we're blind to. So we need to have someone explain it to us. And to me, the head tries to play that role. It hasn't been that successful. And the Holy Spirit will take over that role and explain what your eyes can't see and what your vision does see. And I think when you listen to the Holy Spirit speak about what's going on, you'll probably feel a lot more intimacy with that than the biographical, historical story of being an action figure. I was born here, this happened, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah. When you're described as a verb, I mean, it usually triggers a sense of something in you because the noun can't capture the verb. You can have a story of you, but it can't get that. It's sort of like getting that glass of water from the Colorado River and putting it in your home. You miss something, which is the rivering. Yeah. And I feel this is what the head's interpretation misses quite a lot, because it's interpreting everything to a noun where there isn't any. And I would say the Holy Spirit interprets the spirit or the verbing of life. Yeah, I think that's it. That's how I see it.
No thanks. I mean, verbing, great. Guess who does that? The Lakota, other nature cultures. They don't have nouns, a lot of them. You hear that? That's Gracie. That's Gracie the cat. Gracie the cat trying to wake me up. I'm already woke. I'm already woke. Okay, now I have to get out of here because Gracie cat is bugging me. But I'll just leave you with this. I mean, I don't know why I'm blurry, and I apologize. That's not what I want to leave you with. The whole thing about verbing and nouning, yeah, that's something that, again, nature cultures, like the Lakota, not all of them, but many nature cultures, and the Lakota come to mind because Tiokasin Ghost Horse talks about it all the time, that the Lakota do not have nouns. They don't think in terms of nouns. Everything is ising. Everything is verb. The chair is chairing. The house is housing. The sun is sunning. Verb. Everything is vibrant and living. So that makes sense, but it's not a revelation, except again to westernized mind. Then that's a huge revelation. But this idea that you need to or would even want to listen to the Holy Spirit through what the Course in Miracles version or any version to understand that's just somebody listened to the Lakota or other nations of first peoples and then wrote it down and then sold it to you. That's my take. But anyway, I'm not Zen. I'm not Course in Miracles. I actually talk quite a bit about Zen on this current season of Our Undoing Radio, and it seems that the difference is, from my understanding, which may be wrong, but it sounds like it's not here, that Zen people see anything that comes up in meditation or prayer or whatever, any of the phenomena that come up, any of the states of mind that you pop into, to be temporary, as he's saying. And so don't concentrate on them, just note them and go on, because, you know, you don't want to be too wowed by them and get caught up in them, because that's getting caught up in delusion. And while there's a lot of truth to that, there's also not. Again, it's yes and no. Like, for instance, with the Kundalini awakening, you don't want to get caught up in the phenomena that pops up. If you want to get to the end of like what the Kundalini process is here, you don't want to be like, oh, now I'm a psychic, now I'm a healer, now I'm a this, because these things are becoming you, and or you're experiencing very real possibilities, and you could latch onto them and hone them. Or you can say, no, I want to know what the end of this process is. I don't know that you can do both. But there's also, in the non-dual thing, the aspect of, at some point, other beings step in. I would assume non-dual beings become another sort of form of duality, where they decide whether you're ready for the big I am experience of really being the self-awareness of nothingness, being all things of the universe, universal self-awareness, but it's even beyond that. It's prior to the universe and inclusive of the universe. Somebody decides that for you. You don't just, you know, I've talked about this, right? The slit opens in the back and energy pours in. It's different than the Kundalini, which I can just shut up and the Kundalini will take over and start doing movements and stuff. So Zen would not account for that. Zen would say, just ignore that. Well, no, I think that's a mistake. In fact, Zen probably wouldn't get to that point. You would have these oneness-like experiences. You would have, like, for instance, the wake-up call I had that I thought was enlightenment of, like, moving to heart, which is legit, which is totally amazing, and nothing to take. I mean, we need to do that. I don't want to take away from that. I'm just saying that there are other oneness-y wake-up calls that it seems to me Zen people are trained not to acknowledge, and probably therefore would be blocking out, because it's like they're cock blocking enlightenment. Or whatever the female version of that is. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm done. I'm tired. This woke guy is going back to sleep, so not really. I can't nap. It's just not going to happen. Just I need more furrows. Turning 51 on the 3rd, so yeah, can add. I'm right over the hill. 50 is the hill. I'm right over that hill. So it's all downhill from here. But I'm gonna laugh the whole way down. Even if it's a temporary state of laughter. Even if I bump my foot in the next minute and scream, my bass, the Jeremy bass, is still laughter. So that is permanent, Paul. Sorry. All right. Take care, and until next time, bye-bye.
He's so